looking at those video highlights, you know, it's a bit of a shame you took that mark, apart from winning the grand final for us, because you did a hell of a lot. That wasn't, you know, you're going to be remembered for that, but there was a lot of other things, wasn't there? You're a great goal kicker, really, yours.
The problem was I didn't kick too many, that's the only problem.
Well, your first game was against Collingwood in 1995, and they said to you, this Leo Barry guy goes all right. You kicked a long one from a long way out that day, and it was a terrific day, because although we only won 8 games that year, Paul Kelly won the Brownlow medal. We're on to something all of a sudden here at the club. And I think also we put Collingwood out of the finals. So, we had to have Brisbane winning. And we did our part and they did their part, and it was a lovely day for football. And then Kells won the Brownlow, but all of a sudden there was a bit of momentum happening in the club around about the time you joined, wasn't there?
Yeah, look, I still remember the day that you know, myself and Mick rocked up to our first training session, and that obviously just recruited, you know, Paul Roos and Tony Lockett and the other big names, obviously Michael O'Loughlin and Leo Barry. So I knew the club was going somewhere.
Yeah.
But it was, you know, to be honest, it was probably a real change, and obviously Ron Joseph had his hand in, you know, getting those classy players, and they did have a reasonably good core group, and it was probably in some respects a real change for the club. And I think in the seasons myself and Mick played, I think we played 15 years, we made finals, you know, 12 years out of that last 15 after that, after 95.
Well, you're part of our most successful era, obviously, with grand finals and all those finals appearances. You had some pretty horrendous injuries in your time. You're known for your courage. The one when you were playing against Adelaide, what actually happened to you that day?
I think it might have happened the week before. I got a knee in the back, and
that's right.
Against Carlton, and then it was clear to play, which you normally do, and it was okay. And then took a mark and landed on the ball, and I was sort of sitting in the three-quarter time huddle, and I just started to feel a bit dizzy and a little bit lightheaded, and continued to play. And then literally I knew I was going to sort of faint, so I went to the boundary line, and you know, I said to Nathan Gibbs, yeah, I'm starting to feel really dizzy, lightheaded. And actually John Longmire has put down the message from the coaching staff, and he said, oh, what's wrong with Leo? And Nathan said, oh, he's feeling a bit dizzy. And John Longmire's going, I get dizzy, you're kidding! Great story too.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously just ruptured my spleen.
Yeah. I just got to say here, no wonder Leo's retired, knowing that John Longmire was coming on as coach. Giving that sort of sympathy, you know. So you just ruptured your spleen, okay, like you've been in the car accident.
So I think my blood pressure was 60/40.
Yeah.
So
that's not very good, generally, those who know that stuff.
So they rushed me to hospital, spent a week in hospital. I don't know which was worse, spending a week in Adelaide or spending a week in hospital.
Thereabouts.
Probably take the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally had 4 litres of blood transfusion, but got through okay and was back on the field within sort of 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, fantastic effort and great courage shown going through something like that. You switched to the back line. Who was responsible? Because you came originally as a forward, and you know, that great goal against Collingwood to win the game from that. Who was responsible for your switch? What happened there?
I think it got to the stage where they'd almost sort of given up and be playing forward, so I think they had to do something, otherwise they'd cut me. But I think I remember the pre-season game against Essendon. They put me on Justin Blumfield, who's a really good player at that time, maybe just to learn a few things, and I did okay. And in some respects, it just sort of snowballed from there. And to be honest, it was probably the best move possible. And you know, from that day forward, played down back every game, and without a doubt, you know, I don't think Nick could have played down back. He was a forward, but I think I was built for a backman. So that's the way it worked out, and I'm certainly happy with the way it all turned out, and love my role down back.
Been a wonderful career, and of course, Mick, not only the marking, which we'll get to in a tick, we all here have had our hearts in our mouths sometime when Leo decided to run with the ball. Now, not a lot of fullbacks do that. John Herriot, our fullback at the team of the century, I don't think I saw him take more than 2 steps at a time. Leo, you would grab it and you'd run with it. Well, what's going through your head there? You're a fullback for crying out loud. You're a dour defender.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I suppose in some respects it was almost well, I just drew confidence in playing. That's the way I used to play as a kid. And once I sort of got that confidence, and it's surprising how many guys you actually draw to you. So I was sort of helping the team out. I was just drawing the players and then flicking off to Vic and these other guys to go forward. But it was a part of my game that I really enjoyed doing, and you've got to play to your strengths. So that was a pretty easy decision for me.
Speaking of strengths, your marking was fantastic. I mean, having a look at video highlights, leaving Leo was really something. I remember on the night of the grand final, actually asking Leo at the dinner what was going through his head when he took that mark, and Leo's reply was, so, seeing a few years later, mate, I'll ask you again, because you...
That must have been about 7 o'clock.
Very early in the night, because you were still standing at the time, which was very cool. So, what was going through your head in that final few seconds of that grand final?
Yeah, look, we didn't really know how much time was left. There was no, normally when it gets late in the quarter, you get a runner come out telling you, yeah, there's 2 minutes, there's 3 minutes. But we didn't really have any indication. I think the clock had ticked down to 32 minutes. Tig had obviously just run the ball through for a rush behind. So normally in that sort of situation, you go for a little cheap kick in the pocket, which I did. Tried to slow the play up as much as I could and just kick the ball along down the line to our ruckman. But unfortunately, Dean Cox at the time edged Darren Jolly into the ball. And
Darren Jolly, no wonder he's in the Collingwood. He really lost the grand final for us. Go on.
So I got stuck in the pocket. At that stage, I didn't know where my opponent was, who at that time was Mark Seavey.
Yeah, ironically.
And I think he was stuck in the goal square. It was one of those ones that you just sort of read the fly of the ball, you just got to go. And to be honest, I didn't really, when the incident happened, I didn't really know how many people were around me. But when you obviously sort of seen the picture, it was a big group of players, and I just had a lucky run and took a nice crap.
Actually, a lot of us at the game didn't see it, because I remember my emotions going, oh Jesus, we're going to lose by 2. And then I said, there's a mark, and it's all right, Leo's taken it, and I couldn't hear the sign, I saw a tyre jump on your back, and I thought, gee, it must have been a fair old mark, that one.
He does it normally. You should see him in a nightclub. He jumps on everything.
Great enthusiasm from Ty. But we'll never forget that. We'll never forget you, and of course you captained the club. And what are you doing with yourself now? Tell us about today's life for Leo Barrett.
Well, I've just realised footy's probably the best job you can actually do.
Yeah.
It's probably the first response. Now, one thing I always sort of did straight out of school, I always studied, and last few years I was working at Citibank, so I got a job at Merrill Lynch, they're a big American stockbroking firm. So it's a good job, long hours, but got to pay the bills.
Yeah, talking of bills, what do you think of the 40% tax on the miners, mate?
Yeah, I think it's bullshit.
Anyway, that's okay, socialism's great. Take note back there on that table. Thank you very much. Leo, your mum and dad have had a lot to do with it too. Met Leo and Judy many times over. That must have been an inspiration over the years.
Yeah, look, mum and dad were always a great support. I suppose growing up in a little rural town like Deniliquin, forever and a day they sort of spent taking me to cricket or footy, and if you don't have that sort of support from your parents, it makes it pretty difficult. But big Leo, for all you guys that have met him, he's always a really supportive guy. He never sort of down. He always try and get you back yourself, which is great. And unfortunately, they're not here today. They've gone over to Europe. I've got a sister over in England, so they've travelled over there for 3 or 4 weeks.
Well, I've had a bit of rain up there, and away it goes.
Mate, he's catching the bills. It's going well. So it's the first time Mum's ever travelled overseas. So
good.
I was surprised she wouldn't have given up to come to this lunch.
Yeah, she is a regular. Leo, it's been great having been part of the club. You still follow the Bloods, and
well and truly.
What's your involvement now?
I just sit up in a box and just drink cans, basically.
Really busy. The current side, how do you rate them? I mean, obviously we've got probably 7 out of our best 22 at the moment.
Yeah, look, to be honest, probably the start of the year I thought if we had our best team on the paddock, we could definitely challenge some of the better teams, the top 4 teams. Unfortunately, we've lost some quality players in Bradshaw and Tig. But but in some respects, I think everyone should be pretty confident with some of these young kids. Like Dan Hambury's going to be a good young player, and young Jetta. So this sort of these young kids that have brought in over the last couple of years will certainly put us in good stead for the future. And no doubt I'll be cheering on the sidelines.
Fantastic. Leo Barry, club legend. Great to have you here. We're going to roll from Barry back. But thanks so much for coming tonight. I've always met a great deal of the Melbourne supporters. Of course, the city's voice is Melbourne based on, so that's been a great pleasure. We'll catch up a little bit later for Q&A as well, mate. But Leo Barry,
thanks, guys.